You can get high. Get low. Get flipped. Get a glow. Get hugged. Get bizarre. Get religion. Get sin. Get caressed. Get undressed. Get molested. Get arrested.
Evening, officer.
But most of all, get crazy! Get it while it's hot. Get it if you're not. Come and get it. Get crazy! What Animal House did to college, an airplane did to flying, Get Crazy does to rock and roll. Get crazy!
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Do You Even Movie, and Happy New Year.
Yes.
Because today is New Year's Day.
It is indeed.
I did air quotes because, well, if you don't know, you'll never know.
No. Yeah.
But we're celebrating New Year's with a film of sorts.
A film of sorts, indeed, yes.
This is one of the often maligned, often feared Dave picks.
Yes. The Dave pick is strong with this one entirely.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
The Dave pick is strong with this one. We're talking about 1983's Get Crazy.
That is correct, yes. And This was your first time seeing it because I brought this to your attention.
You can't watch Get Crazy. You can only be in the room with it.
You can only be in the room with it is pretty much is a good way to describe it. So we were talking about Get Crazy, 1983, 1 hour and 32 minutes, rated R for language, sex and nudity, heavy drug use, and references, I would say. There's no rating reason given, but if you watch the movie, I think you can get an idea.
And you had that bad of a Christmas, you don't want to talk about your holiday at all before we go into the movie.
I mean, I didn't have a bad Christmas at all. I just know we're kind of on a deadline right now because we're trying to get to a movie.
Oh, okay. Well, then, fuck you, listeners.
No, it's not that
much that. You don't
that.
deserve to know how David's holiday was.
No, I mean, how was your holiday? You kick us off.
Challenging.
Okay.
But overall good.
Good, yeah, mine was fine.
I made eggnog.
You did.
I watched movies for a change. Revisited The Holdovers.
So good.
On Christmas Eve.
Fantastic.
And watched Christmas Story for like the 5th Christmas in a row. So it was pretty good. Made a pot roast.
Pot roast is good.
Yeah, you're just like, wow, sad. I went and had hot pot on Christmas Day.
Oh, nice. Where at?
There's only one hot pot place around here.
Okay.
K-Pot.
K-Pot?
Yeah. I don't think there's a single other one.
Okay.
It's a very specific type of restaurant.
Yeah.
For those who've never had hot pot or Korean barbecue, you cook it yourself at the table. And I love it because you feel like a king at hot pot because you literally sit there and you're like, I would like, sliced pork belly and this and this and this and this. And they just bring you all of this shit out. And then you cook it at your leisure.
Yeah.
And like your table if there's like more than 2 people, your table is so full of ingredients waiting to be boiled or grilled. So, and I took our buddy Keith, who is a very picky eater.
Yes, he is.
But almost all you eat is just meat you cook yourself.
Yeah.
So
that's right up his alley.
No, he had a great time. He ate, we all just ate to the point where we were going to die, damn near. And I've realized that hot pot has become an addiction with me. I think I'm eating it every 10 days minimum.
Damn.
Yeah, if it was a little cheaper, I'd probably live there. But
fair.
Look, having unlimited variety and unlimited soup is about as me as you get.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun thing. It was very, it paid off well to be like, ooh, my current restaurant obsession is Asian. There's a 70% chance it will be open on Christmas Day. So I called and sure enough they were. So I had a lot of fun with that. I went to the movies with my mother and saw The Fire Inside.
Yeah. How was it?
What?
How was the movie?
No, it was actually really good. The story of the first Olympic gold medalist in boxing to ever win back-to-back gold medals.
Damn.
Happened to be a young woman from Flint, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good story. It kind of loses its plot a little bit. But it's not a classic boxing movie. Because a lot of it is about the fact that she won the gold and then kind of nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Yeah, that's what I picked up from the trailer.
Well, it didn't hurt. It didn't help her that was Michael Phelps's year.
Oh shit. Okay.
You know, and he was a beast. I mean, I don't know. I could name almost no Olympians anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just such a beast. I mean, people that would just be like, "Dude, you should watch him swim for a second." I'd be like, "Well, I don't. Wow, what the hell? What is wrong with this guy? Why is he? What is he doing?" So. Yeah, it was fun. The performances were really great. I loved seeing Flint, Michigan get kind of like a little bit of a. They did something I thought was really clever and telling, which is they kept whenever there was an exterior of them walking and talking or running and training or whatever, they would always work the Flint water tower in.
Yeah,
because of the whole water issue.
That makes sense. Yeah,
which I thought was a nice. Way to kind of be like, hey, this is going on at the same time all this other stuff is going on. So no, I thought it was really great. I had a much more exciting Christmas than somebody who's just surrounded by loved ones all day. Fucking loser. No, it was good stuff. It was good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. But I think Dave's hiding his pain because he just jumped right into the movie without even saying hi or happy Christmas.
Dude, I literally have no pain. It's just Christmas happened. Like I hate saying it like that, but like this year was not the easiest. So like getting through the holidays was just kind of a struggle sometimes. So yeah.
Wouldn't know.
Dude, I'm not even trying.
I'm just trying to.
No, I get it, man. It's just like I wish I had more to say. Like, I mean, I had a great time with my family. We went to my sister's house and had family over. I got to see my niece open up her Christmas gift this year.
And all you could think was she was so much cuter last year.
Which was a giant oh god, I can't think what the company
Plutonium.
is. No.
Oh, what's a P word?
Like Fisher Price Kitchen. Like
it
was like a full on
Gosh,
kitchen.
how old is she now?
She's 2, literally tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's kind of an advanced gift. I mean, she'll grow into it though.
She loves it.
Oh, I'm sure it was big and colorful and fun.
No, she's been using it nonstop. So I mean, I got to spend time with my family. I got to spend time with my sister and her husband and my niece. So that was nice.
Who are not family.
They are family. Yes.
Come on, that was funny.
It was good. I got a Funko. My mom got me my own Funko, so I have a Funko Pop that's me.
Oh, that's of you?
Yes, that literally says David.
So it's cursed.
It's wearing a skeleton onesie almost, and has a cell phone in one hand and a skull in the other.
Okay.
So that's me.
Well, Dave is acting so coy when in reality we're recording this literally the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually talked about our Christmas much at all. So I was like, I thought it would be, but then Dave comes in here all aggro.
No, I'm not aggro. It's just like I wish I had more to say, but I mean, like I had a good Christmas. I can't
The food
complain.
isn't as good. The relatives are not as pretty. They're more boring than ever.
I literally just same old to me.
Somebody needs to review Just Another Christmas.
No,
to realize
it's not that. No, I'm very grateful. It's just at the same time, like I wanted to get to Christmas. I wanted to get through Christmas. We are through Christmas now and going into New Year's, and that's where my eye is on everything.
Well, I mean, you should always want to get to the next day.
Yeah, I would think so.
It'd be worrisome if you were like, look, I don't care if tomorrow comes.
But I would also like to say that, I did have some stress this year with some Christmas presents that didn't arrive on time, which wasn't a big deal. I mean, it was
a lot of people had issues with that, though.
Issue.
At Rachel's family, there were a couple of gifts that she had to print photos out of and put them in boxes.
Yep.
Because stuff was just running late. Both of my gifts for Michelle and Philly said they wouldn't get there on time, and then both arrived on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Which made no sense.
I had a couple gifts arrive on Christmas Eve. I had 2 that were supposed to arrive on the 23rd that arrived either today. Yeah, I think today. I had one arrive today, and then I had yours arrive today as well.
Yes. You got me socks, which I liked very much.
I got you some very cool T2 socks, yes.
Yeah, well, that would actually be dope, too. No, you got me a Terminator 2, collector set. I don't know how else you describe it. Just full of, screen, some screen accurate and some, screen inspired.
Yes.
Because there was some stuff that you don't actually see in the movie, but they
No.
recreated it for fun, like
Yeah.
a ticket to the Tech Noir nightclub
show.
and stuff like that. But then there are other things that you see, like Sarah Connor's name tag recreated just like it was on her work shirt and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It was a really cool gift. If you could have just ordered it sooner.
I think that thing went up for pre-order, and I got it like the day the pre-order link went live.
No joke. I actually told Rachel before we all got together the Friday before Christmas to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night and hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, I know Dave, because you were waiting, hoping my gift would get there. And I told her flat, I was like, my gift's not going to get here today.
Mhm.
So I'm going to make like 2 jokes about it to Dave, and then I'm going to shut up because I'm worried that he'll actually get tender about it. So
Once I found out that it wasn't like this is gonna sound stupid, but once I found out it wasn't just me, like I had talked to a couple other friends and found out like there was a bunch of people that were having stuff delayed.
Yeah.
It made me feel a little bit better, but it was annoying because I've never in the last few years I've never had a gift arrive late. I've always ordered in advance and been able to have it there, so I haven't really had to deal with any late deliveries, especially Christmas parties where I didn't have the gift with me. So that was kind of a new thing.
I get that. It does sound stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
No, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. So are you even going to mention what I got you for Christmas?
I was going
'Cause
to, yeah.
I freaking knocked it out of the park here, kids.
There was a while ago when I was still living at my parents' house that I, at a flea market, had found a video store poster for From Dusk Till Dawn 2. And
Texas Blood Money.
Texas Blood Money, yeah. And it was a poster that it's not difficult to find, but it's not one you're going to find unless you're looking for it. Does that make any sense?
Considering I found it,
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I know how to find
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You and I know how to find posters and whatnot. But that was one I found at a flea market. And I didn't know the chances of finding another one. Plus, I'd never really thought about replacing it.
Well, your dad tried to replace it and he could not find
Yeah, he
one.
couldn't find it. Yeah. So you surprised me with another poster this year, which I cannot wait to frame, along with the several posters you got me the last couple years.
Well, that one, the moment you finished telling me that story, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm going to find one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm particularly good at hunting for things on the internet.
Yes, you are.
I think what probably happened, if I had to guess, is that when you guys were looking, you looked for From Dusk Till Dawn 2.
He was the one that looked for it.
Well,
so
all I'm saying is I looked for From Dusk Till Dawn, Texas Blood Money, Scott Spiegel.
Yeah.
And I found a few, not a lot.
Yeah.
I found a few and I grabbed one and the rest, as they say, is history. But no, I'm like the worst about that. Like I start listening, and I'll just be like, huh. But it's especially when people say I looked everywhere and couldn't find blank. I'm immediately like, just write that down.
Yeah.
I will find it.
Well, it's like Jeff, surprised me with the Hans Gruber falling off the Nakatomi countdown for Christmas, and I had been looking at those because I don't know if you saw the Advent calendar thing or the blow up one they did failed, so they're not gonna have those mass produced, unfortunately. But that Hans Gruber falling off the Nakatomi countdown to Christmas, I did not expect it, and it just made me so happy to have that next to my Christmas tree.
Sure. We all know how much you like when foreigners fall to their death. But no. See, I had to pick on Dave because stop being a bitch. Merry Christmas, Davey boy.
Merry Christmas.
No, it was not a bad one. For me, it was a tough one, but it wasn't a bad one.
No.
I've only had a couple of really heinous Christmases.
I just knew that I might have said this a couple weeks ago on the show. I can't remember now. I just knew the holidays were going to be tough this year because it'd been the breakup and everything happening beginning of the year. We had holiday traditions together, just me and her. So
I mean, a few years in.
Yeah, a few years in. I mean, it wasn't a large amount of time, but it was enough time to where it was just kind of like, oh yeah, that's going to be different this year, and it was. And also, I had a new roommate and everything too. So I mean, it was.
And fuck that guy.
Leave Cam alone. He's working hard.
I actually like Cam quite a bit. I'm excited for when he makes you move out because I'm going to move in and keep my stuff in your old bedroom.
You just want for the porch.
Well, that's a bonus as well. But actually, I'm just going to have the bonus. I'm going to have the porch torn down and turned into a artist installation for the third I'll Know What You Did Last Summer film.
Great. Can't wait.
That's my plan.
I will tell you, I'm currently in text negotiations right now with my landlord on what they're taking off rent for me to clean the basement out.
The basement out?
Basement.
It's full of spiders, right?
Most likely one section of it, yes.
I feel like every time you've ever spoken about number one, the basement there, and number two, cleaning there. Spiders always
what
always
drives
up.
me crazy is there will be times I go down in the basement and it looks like one of my favorite lines in House Haunted House and Sorority Row. It looks like Rob Zombie could rub one out.
No, it was Rob Zombie. Oh yeah, it was Rob Zombie would rub one out if he saw this place. And the other line was, God, I wouldn't build a meth lab in here.
But it was. I'll go down there sometimes and it's just there's spiders all over the furnace and like spiders on one side of the wall, like webbing and whatnot. And then I'll go down there a couple weeks later and it's all gone.
I mean, yeah.
So it's just like I have this sense of just being like, okay, well, clearly the webs are gone, so I can go ahead and do this, and then I just never do it.
I have a theory.
What's your theory?
Oh, just that when you go down there, I feel like the theory is when you go down there and see spiders, it's in the evening. So you had a little. I'm joking. Jeez. This is how I know he's really an alcoholic. It gets weird when I say he was drunk.
Oh my God. No. I'm trying to remember. Like it was. I want to say like it was November. Like I was actually worried about going down there because we hadn't had a cold winter, which usually kills the spiders. So then not much to worry about. So I remember going down there and being like, man, it's gonna be like wall to wall webbing. And I got down there and I was like, oh, this is really not that bad because I was putting off going down and getting my Christmas tree and my Christmas decorations because I didn't want to deal with spiders.
There's that many.
No,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of spiders?
No, like I'm not afraid to a point of like if one's crawling on me, like I'm gonna freak out or anything. I just don't like a lot of them all at once.
It sounds like you're afraid of spiders.
No, because I can pick.
This isn't me trying to bully you. I'm just saying.
I've held a tarantula. I've picked up spiders off friends' houses before too. I mean, like I don't have a fear with it. It's more so I don't want to deal with the ones down there specifically because brown recluses.
It sounds like you're a little afraid of spiders.
I mean, if I'm afraid of spiders, it's news to me, but brown recluses I'm afraid of because I've had friends get bitten by them and seen bad effects.
I don't know if I buy that. What friends do you have?
God.
I'm trying to. You were a little stiff today. I'm trying to break it up. Are you pissed because you had to work the day after Christmas?
A combination of that and also, like I said, I'm ready to hit 2025. Like
with a car.
If it doesn't hit
with
me
a
first.
semi truck, I mean, all I'm saying is, you're relatively alive. You have loved ones who tolerate. No,
I mean, I had a great Christmas. It's not that I didn't by any means. It's just this year has been a lot.
I bet
it has. No, I mean it has. I know we've both had things going on, but yes. Shit, look at me all you want.
No, you're allowed to have a little bit of a tough time. I'm just saying, think of all the good things that happened.
I got a promotion. We're done.
You also got out of that relationship. It was time. No.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and be like, it was always crap and she was so bad. But it was time.
No, I know.
And that means it was good.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that.
Because you did a very adult thing and were like, okay, I'm going to gaslight my girlfriend until she leaves me. And that's, God, I couldn't even keep a straight face through it. No, but I'm serious, David. I'm talking about, as your friend, how this year was, from my perspective. You got to grow a lot. You got to you were challenged quite a bit. But really, I think that the listeners could help with this. Chime in if you agree. doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. I think it's time, if you want to get Christmas back on track, it's time for you to have a baby.
Fun story with that. No.
David, you didn't almost have a baby.
No.
So, my friends, now we're going to talk about in air quotes, movie. No, okay, so I'd never seen this film.
You had not?
I've seen films in this vein, in this oeuvre of kind of the heavily musicy hangout movie, but this one was way out there.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
So I'm curious, but I couldn't let you scoot by and spit in St. Nicholas's face.
I would never spit in St. Nicholas's face. I'd say the one thing that I really did enjoy, like this is terrible to say, but the one thing I really did
was it when that homeless guy was under your car?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I did really enjoy was My parents, my sister, basically everybody had gone to bed that was staying at the house, and so I got free reign of the TV, so I watched Fat Man and Christmas Evil back to back.
On Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, into Christmas, because by the time I started Christmas Evil, it was like 1 a.m.
We watched Christmas Evil on Christmas Day, Christmas Evil, Christmas Story, and then Fat Man was our wrap up for the year. So no, good on you for that. You could like no one will know. So you put some Benadryl in their food?
No, I did not.
Nice. Never admit that. That's good. That's good. I'm proud of you. You've learned well. So we're going to talk about 1983's Get Crazy, a film I would certainly consider to be an oddity.
Yes.
In many ways. And I have a suspicion, because again, I know very little about this film, that there's far more to talk about the making than there really is about the actual movie.
Yeah. Because I mean, we could basically give you the plot summary in probably 10 minutes of the gist of everything.
Well, because the plot it's like when we've reviewed movies in the past that are action oriented.
Yeah.
You can't just, you just say, and then they fight, he gets the gun. You can't say like he fights, then the gun slides over there and he goes, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
As opposed to when you're trying to get across when people are talking to each other. But this film, so the first half of the film, I tried my best, but I was very distracted because I'm in the process of trying to friggin' pick a mattress. Don't ever, guys, just sleep on the floor. It is so frustrating trying to buy a damn mattress.
I can see that.
Well, to pick one to buy. So I was worried. I was trying really hard to keep my attention on the movie as well. And at some point I just looked at you and I was like, this just doesn't make sense, right? And you were like, not entirely. And I was like, okay, good. I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
But let's lay the groundwork so they can understand what the hell this is.
All right. So once again, Get Crazy from 1983, 1 hour and 32 minutes, rated R for language, sex, nudity, and heavy drug use and references. IMDb synopsis says, mega promoter Colin Beverly plans to sabotage the New Year's Eve 1983 concert of a small-time operator, Max Wolfe. Wolfe's assistants, Neil Allen and Willie Loman, find romance while trying to save the drugs, violence, and rock and roll from Beverly's schemes.
I feel like their attempts to sabotage were so barely there.
Yeah. Not wrong. My synopsis says, when their boss suffers a heart attack, the staff of the Saturn Theater must put on their big New Year's Eve concert while fighting off an evil promoter out to stop their show.
Yeah, because he wants to get it from them. Yeah. Which is very 80s.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, we got to raise money to save the rec center.
Taglines include, get crazy and say goodbye to your brain.
Oh, those are two different ones, or is that the one?
No,
Get crazy and say goodbye.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Malcolm McDowell is hilarious as punk rocker superstar Reggie Wanker.
That's a tagline?
That's what it is on IMDb.
That's like a review line.
Last chance to party this summer.
It's a New Year's movie.
It came out in August. Spoilers. They're punk, they're rock, they're new wave, they're crazy. It was the greatest rock event ever until the place exploded.
All right, first of all, that sounds like it got even better. I was praying that the tagline would be, it was the greatest rock event ever until it wasn't.
Here's the last one.
Oh, God.
If you like the Rocky Horror Show, you're going to love Get Crazy.
Not Picture Show.
Not Picture Show.
Just
Rocky Horror Show.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So as of this recording, dear listener, Get Crazy is currently available on Blu-ray and DVD through Kino Lorber. It is not available to rent or stream anywhere. However, if you were to go search it on a very popular video site, you might be able to find it in its entirety that's been up since 12 years now.
And you would get what you deserve, which is to watch the film.
That's all I got for you. So our director on the film is Alan Arkush. He gets his start in 1976 directing Hollywood Boulevard, then goes on to direct Death Sport in 78, Rock and Roll High School in 79, does multiple Ramones videos in 79, Heart Beeps in 1981.
Starring Andy Kaufman.
That is correct. Dawkins Breaking the Chains video in 1982. Then he shoots Get Crazy in 83, Bette Midler Beast of Burden video in 84, Twilight Zone remake series in 86, L.A. Law, The Bronx Zoo, Caddyshack 2 in 88.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let him, we'll forgive him for that one.
Well, he was always kind of, I don't want this to sound rude. He was always kind of an orbiter of the super successful Roger Corman alumni, Joe Dante and Dick Miller.
Oh, just so his TV, so Moonlighting in 86. Then he goes to do the Parenthood series in 1990.
Okay.
Moon Over Miami in 93, Shake, Rattle, and Roll remake in 94, Dangerous Minds TV show in 96.
Oh, based on the Elvis Presley song.
Elvis Meets Nixon in 97, the movie.
Well, hell's bells, I called that one.
Time Cop TV series in 97.
I actually like the Time
It
Cop
was fun.
series.
They showed on Sci-Fi a lot.
I think last I checked, and this was a few years ago, I watched episodes on the Roku channel.
No shit. I'll check that out. Dawson's Creek in 98, The Practice in 99, Ally McBeal in 99, Crossing Jordan, Melrose Place remake in 09, Life Unexpected in 2010, Franklin and Bash, The Client List, Salem in 2015, Minority Report, the TV series in 2015.
I didn't realize he was so active in TV, modern TV. Wow, that's awesome.
He also shot episodes recently for a series of Unfortunate Events, the Netflix series in 2018.
Wow, okay.
Yep. One of our writers on the film is Danny Apachu. He gets his start in 1969 with Room 222. Night Call Nurses in 72. He's the writer on.
Roger Corman film, I would assume.
Student Teachers in 73.
Roger Corman film, I would assume.
Hollywood Boulevard in 76.
Well, I mean, there you go.
Then goes on to write Get Crazy in 83, along with the other writer, Henry Rosenbaum. He gets his start writing in 1968 with The Guns of Will Sonnet, Mod Squad in 68, The Dunwich Horror in 1970, A Bullet for a Pretty Boy in 1970, Dog and Cat in 77, Hanky Panky, the Gene Wilder film in 82, Get Crazy in 83, Hollywood Beat in 85, and Sylvester Stallone's Lockup in 89? Yeah, 89.
That's quite a shift.
Yeah. Other writer on the film is David Taylor. Yes, 3 writers on this film, by the way.
Bizarrely, because they couldn't seem to find a story.
Switch in 77, The Rockford Files in 77, Kojak, Hanky Panky, Get Crazy, Lassiter in 84, The Light Ship in 85, Traveling Man in 89, Devlin in 92, Majority Rule, Cloned, The Hunger TV series in 98, Dog Boys, and Road Rage in 99.
Wow. Okay.
Our cinematographer on the film is Thomas Del Ruth. He gets his start. Now, these are just jobs he had assistant camera on. Cool Hand Luke in 67.
Okay.
Valley of the Dolls in 67. The Graduate, Planet of the Apes, Bullet, Patton, Dirty Harry, Coonskin in 74. He's running his Cameron on. Outlaw Josie Wales in 76. It isn't until 1979 he becomes DP on Mrs. Columbo. Then he does She's Dressed to Kill in 79. And then in 1980, he shoots a little film called Motel Hell.
Oh, so he's the British. No. He's not the director of Motel Hell was British.
Yeah.
Right.
Then he goes on to shoot Unground Aces in 81, Elvis the Beauty Queen in 81, Death Wish 2 in 82, Paper Dolls, Hysterical in 82, Who Will Love My Children in 83, Get Crazy. 84, he does Impulse, that really weird Something's in the Water movie with Bill Paxton and Tim Masterson I showed you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Then he does Fandango in 85, The Breakfast Club in 85.
What?
Quicksilver in 86. Okay. Stand By Me in 86. The Running Man in 87.
Wow.
Goes on to do Lady Killers in 88. Look Who's Talking in 89. Wolf TV series in 89. Look Who's Talking 2 in 1990. Cuffs with Christian Slater in 92. The Mighty Ducks, T-Bone and Weasel. The X-Files. Donato and Daughter, that Charles Bronson TV movie we watched years ago.
Donato and Daughter.
A House of Secrets in 93. Shattered Image in 94. ER in 94. Jag, Chasing the Dragon. Asteroid. Leave It to Beaver, the movie they did in 97.
Oh man. I remember that vaguely.
Charmed in 98, the West Wing series in 99, Studio 60 on Sunset Strip in 2006, which is one of, I would say, his best series. I can't think of what his name is. Who freaking wrote The West Wing and Aaron Sorkin?
Yeah, Sorkin.
Sorkin series, Studio 60 on Sunset Strip, only had one season, came out in 2006, has a great cast in it. Basically about the makings of an SNL show that's really on the downshoots, so they basically restaffed the entire thing.
So kind of like what SNL did a bunch. Yeah.
No, it's really good. I cannot recommend that series enough. And then Moonlight in 2007.
Wow, that is quite a career.
Yeah.
Bouncing around a lot.
Talk about quite a career. Moving on to our cast, we have Malcolm McDowell in the film, who plays Reggie Wanker. 280 credits on IMDb.
Reggie Wanker. Go on.
So with that amount of credits, here's just the highlight reel that we have. We have If in 1968, Clockwork Orange in 71, Aces High in 76, Caligula, Time After Time in 79, Cat People, Blue Thunder, Get Crazy, The Caller, Sunset, Class of 99, Tales from the Crypt, the Reluctant Vampire episode.
I love that episode.
Returning to the show from The Player in 1992.
Oh.
He actually has lines because he confronts What's-His-Face.
Yeah, look at him.
Milk Money in 94.
I love Milk Money.
Star Trek Generations in 94.
For the record, I was out at Indian Lake with Rachel, and I was explaining the plot of Milk Money to her. And no matter how much I tried to explain further, No. The more I would like try to expound to make it clear, it's like this touching. The worse it got. She was just like, what?
Yeah.
No. But then she just shows the children her boobs. She's like, okay. I'm like, no. But then his dad falls in love with her. She's like, what?
And
I
then
was
there's
like,
a mobster that comes back together.
yeah, I was like, I give up. We'll watch it one day, or maybe we won't.
So Star Trek Generations in 94, Tank Girl in 95, Gangster Number 1 in 2000, Just Visiting, Firestarter rekindled in 2002.
A classic.
Oh, God.
We're watching that.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, well, it's going to be 3 times.
You know, it's like 3.5 hours, right?
Goddamn right.
All right. I Spy 2002, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead 2003, Evalenko in 2003, Teen Titans, Monk, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Rob Zombie's Halloween in 2007, Doomsday, Bolt, Halloween 2, Suck, The Book of Eli, Easy A, The Artist, Entourage, Metalocalypse. He's done like 34 episodes.
He was in Easy A? I don't remember him in that.
I think he's
like
the principal.
Oh, that checks out.
Silent Night, the Silent Night Deadly Night Loose remake in 2012.
I like that.
Community, The Mentalist, Mischief Night, the other one in 2014.
Ah, yes, the other one.
American Satan in 2017, which may come to the show. I may force that on you after this one. Bombshell in 2019, Christmas Chronicles Part 2, Father Stew in 2022, and Thelma in 2024.
Oh.
Moving down to our cast, we have Alan Garfield, who plays Max Wolfe in the film. He has 120 credits on his resume. Starting with Orgy Girls in 1969.
Well, with a name like that.
Greetings in 68, where I quote, his credit was Smut Peddler. Putney Swope in 69.
Ah, now we're talking.
Hi Mom, 1970, the Brian De Palma film. The Owl and the Pussycat in 1970. Mod Squad, Bananas in 71. The Organization, Bonanza, The Bob Newhart Show in 73. Busting in 74. The Conversation, The Front Page, Nashville, The Brinks Job, Trapper John MD, The Stuntman in 1980. One from the Heart in 81. Continental Divide. Taxi, does Get Crazy in 83. Then in 84 does one of my favorite movies, Teachers, where he played the one teacher that Christian, oh god damn it, what is his, why can't I think of his name? Who's the weirdo from Back to the Future? Crispin Glover.
Oh yeah.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Hellion Glover.
He gives this guy hell in Teachers. Then we have the Cotton Club in 84, Beverly Hills Cop in 82 and 87, Tales from the Dark Side in 88, Dick Tracy, Eddie Dodd, Law and Order, Cyborg 2, Glass Shadow.
Finally, something good.
Stewart Saves His Family in 95.
Okay, I stand corrected. That's the top of the
Destiny
level.
Turns on the Radio in 95.
Well, hell.
Diabolique remake in 96, Dharma and Greg, The Ninth Gate in 99, Sports Night, another Aaron Sorkin TV series, The West Wing, and The Majestic. He unfortunately passed in April of 2020 at age 80 from COVID-19 complications.
Wow. I mean, that was a hell of a career.
Yeah. And then returning to the show, we also have Daniel Stern, who plays Neil Allen. Of course, we saw him in Bushwhacked when we did our episode.
Well, damn right we did.
Just a review, he gets a start in 79 with Breaking Away, does Diner, Blue Thunder, Get Crazy in 83, then he does Chud, DOA, Leviathan, Little Monsters, Home Alone, City Slickers, Rookie of the Year, and Bushwhacked in 95.
It's almost like his career seems really different after Home Alone.
Yeah, it's weird, huh?
Well, before that, he was kind of just a guy. Like he was a character actor in a bunch of stuff. He was always good. But man, when they put Stern in that role,
when he replaced Roebuck.
Yeah, I mean, I would be fascinated. Did they? I don't think there's any screen tests that have been shared, right?
I don't think there may be like no, because I was gonna say there might be a clip of the movies that maybe, but there's not.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
No.
So I would be really curious to see Dan Roebuck's portrayal of that.
Yeah,
but the way he plays Marv is so him.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's so weird because, you know, you watch the films pre-Home Alone and he's very soft and gentle. And then after Home Alone, he kind of like leans into that kind of rough around the edgesness. Because in Bushwhacked, in a lot of ways, he's basically Marv.
Yeah.
But Marv, because, well, the Marv character of the two Home Alone goons was the one who kind of had an emotional center, but then he would keep getting it stolen.
Yeah, because Harry was there for the job and wanted to get it done.
Oh, and Harry was fine with like really hurting people. Like, I mean, he'd be the one to be like, let's do this.
Kevin's fingers off.
And then he was gonna blast him. I watched Home Alone 2 while we were opening presents on Christmas Day. He was gonna shoot him right in the face.
If the gun had not been clogged, Kevin would have got shot.
Well, it wasn't even clogged. It was the goop. He couldn't even get a grip to like pull. He couldn't even hold the gun steady. But I just watched it like yesterday.
Because he says you're gonna spit gum out your neck or something like that. Like
it's something like that.
It's real. Like some of his lines in those movies are mean.
Yeah, well, and that whole part where he says I'm gonna bite off each of your fingers is pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty twisted,
pretty crazy. So what was your
Get Crazy?
What was your first time watching Get Crazy?
You know, I don't remember. No, I do. It was a cold night. February 1974.
Really?
As the Wendigo howled outside of my home, I realized that due to my time traveling, I had a copy of Get Crazy.
That is true.
Which I had bought in case I wanted to just die. I don't know. I don't have a joke. I thought I'd get one. No, I watched it today, obviously.
Yes, you did.
And I had never heard of the film. I had heard of Alan Arkush.
Yeah.
Because of his involvement with Hollywood Boulevard, the Roger Corman studio. He and Joe Dante went on to do Gremlins, Matinee, The Burbs. They were a team in the edit department.
Yeah. No, and Arkush is a fascinating guy to listen to on any podcast or interview that you can get. He pops by the movies that made me, the Joe Dante podcast with Josh Olson every now and then. He's really, really good on it. So he's a very interesting character to listen to. I was not made aware of him, though, probably until Rock and Roll High School, which I saw before this.
Did they co-direct? No, that was his. That was his. That was when Dante just worked on the editing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I was aware of Arkush and was aware of Rock and Roll High School because right around this time that Get Crazy fell into my hands was when my uncle was giving me those care packages I talked about, and he would give me a lot of the Roger Corman stuff, including Rock and Roll High School.
And then one year you like shit in the mashed potatoes or something. So he was like, "Here's Get Crazy." Here's a care package.
So Get Crazy, I was gifted a copy of a VHS ripped to DVD from my uncle, and they had made it. Like his buddy Tom had found a VHS of Get Crazy at a flea market. They took it back to his house, and he had all the setup and everything.
Do you have like one of those tabletop? Yeah, like a VCR for DVDs.
Yeah, so they ripped it over, and he care packaged it to me one year, and he had told me about this movie a couple times too, because like I told him I'd like to Rock and Roll High School when he'd give it to me, so he'd been like, "Oh yeah, there's a movie I'd love to find," and I can't remember what he was calling it, but it wasn't Get Crazy at the time. He couldn't remember the title, but I can't remember what he called it. But finally, Get Crazy found a release because, as I'll go into the trivia, the movie technically got lost because Arkush had completed the film. His financiers had been given the movie and everything, so then they were basically waiting on the post. They ended up burying this movie and almost using it as a tax write-off, essentially.
So, I mean, that movie got abandoned, got lost, sorry. Kind of like my dad got lost going to get cigarettes and not coming back kind of thing.
If I remember correctly from what Arkush says in the interviews, like it was released for like a week because people were going to go back and see it the next week and it was already gone. So it had a very limited release, got put on a terrible VHS tape that he talks about in the interview a little bit as well. But anyway, I had seen Get Crazy, and it was a movie that nobody knew about, obviously, because, it had been lost. So I was so happy when, I think it was about 2018, Kino Lorber announced that it was finally getting a release. It didn't go to DVD or anything like that. It went basically straight to Blu-ray from the Kino Lorber, from them finding the elements, which I'll get into in the trivia. But I just loved the zaniness of this movie. I loved how insane it was and how it's genuinely a giant party movie.
Oh God, yeah. It's like Airplane if there was like no sense of morality.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and a lot of music.
So you ready to get into it?
Why the hell not?
So we open with a shot of a space background as we see the giant words "Get Crazy" come at us as they go back into the screen, and then we see the bottom of a spaceship flying towards the background, not unlike the beginning of Star Wars, or one could see of Spaceballs, maybe. So
coincidental, I'm sure.
That is when we notice that there are feet hanging off of the spacecraft, and we see that it is a man on the back of it in a spacesuit, and we see Max 83 written on a license plate in the back as we see two giant numbers of 8 and 3 light up as we find out that this is the New Year's show that the Saturn Theater is prepping for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when we meet Max Wolfe, who is the guy that runs the theater. We meet Neil, who is played by Daniel Stern, and he's running Max's entry. Suddenly the controls get out, and Max basically runs straight back into the background and falls off the ship.
Whoops. It's very funny.
Yeah, so he crashes, and that's when he talks about how, this is going to be a huge show tonight, and we even get to see that Sammy, his nephew, is there, and he's begging, for him to have a chance to take over the theater. We find out that the Saturn is on a 30-year lease, basically, and his 30 years is about up, so they don't know what's going to happen. Somebody might buy the lease from him, or he may even sell the theater to somebody else.
Right.
So Sammy wants to get it, and Max tells him, hey, you're doing a great job. You just got to be patient. Whatever you can do to hang in there, that's all you got to do. So that's when Neil and the rest of his crew get back to work trying to put together the show. We see Mary Warnoff, who's working on the controls as well.
Well, of course, her and Paul Bartel, it's like a law they need to be in the film, and it's always fun to spot them.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and this is definitely a school of Corman film. You can spot a lot of them.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. And that's when we also find out that Max is requesting a chili dog from Sammy. So he sends him out. He's like, hey, you're a good kid. Go to the corner, get me a couple of chili dogs.
It's what you do with people you respect. You send them to go get the chili dog.
And we immediately see what kind of person Sammy is, because there's a little dog in front of him that Sammy just whops right, like kicks him
and just kicks a field goal with the dog. But they did the slapstick thing. The dog lands and then just goes, so the dog's fine.
Dog's fine. So Neil goes back over the plan for New Year's and the launch, and we also see that the gang is, wanting to get the show off without a hitch, but the control panel is having issues, so they're trying to figure out what the next step's going to be. That's when Willie Loman catches the eye of Neil, and they share a cute fantasy, which they do throughout this entire movie.
Cute fantasy.
I think it's cute fantasy.
I mean, it's just so weird. He turns into a jungle man with a monkey on his back, a chimpanzee on his back.
Very Tarzan-esque and very Jane-esque. So we see that we find out that Willie Loman is a former worker for Max, and she has been brought in to see the final show. But also, she's kind of walked away from the business because Colin Beverly, who was played by Ed Begley Jr., bought up the last place that she was working at, and she lost her job, and so she moved out of the city and hasn't seen it since.
No.
So that is when Max tries to sell her on the idea. It's the 50th anniversary of the Saturn. This is going to be their biggest concert ever, but she just doesn't see his vision. Meanwhile, in the sky in his helicopter, we meet Colin Beverly, who played by Ed Begley Jr. with his henchmen Mark and Marv.
The two M's.
Yes. And he reveals his plan is to go after the Saturn Theater, and he's going to do so by landing his helicopter right in the street out front of the Saturn, which blows up multiple women's clothes.
Yeah, very, very 80s screwball comedy.
Yeah. So they land in the street outside the theater, and that's when Sammy is going out to get his chili dogs. He's returning with them, and he runs into Colin Beverly, and he's just smitten with this guy. He knows everything about him. How nobody fucks with you, you fuck with them. Like,
it's my favorite line of the whole movie.
It's pretty great. So he is just trying to talk to Colin Beverly, and he's just walking right through him to the point where Sammy actually goes through glass because he's like, oh, you're here to see my uncle. Come talk to my uncle.
He does it again, too. Yeah. He just walks right through plate glass.
So that is when they make it up to Max's office, and Max greets him by calling him Colin, which I love. Colin Beverly.
Beautiful.
And Max is basically telling him he is not interested in selling, and Colin's trying to schmooze him over. It's not working. Max basically tells him no less than 5 times to get out of his office. And that's when Colin makes the deal that he says, okay, fine, I'll give you $1.2 million. You have by midnight. If you sign the deal over to me, we will make sure everything's all good to go. And he's like, no, I have this theater because I keep the seats cheap. I keep the venue open for kids to be able to see their favorite acts. You're going to come in and turn it into a stadium and do all this stuff.
Yeah, you're going to make it a place that is safe to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So
no, I mean, the place is supposed to be kind of a pit.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the most bizarre things is the place is kind of a pit, except they have super high-end production on everything.
Yeah. And it's I did forget to mention this film is a tribute to the Filmore East that Arkush and one of the writers grew up working at as basically stagehands and whatnot. So this is kind of all their experiences loosely rolled into this movie.
Right. Well, the production was so at the beginning was so involved that I thought it was going to be a TV special.
Yeah.
So when I found out it was just a concert, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah. So Max goes on to tell him that, no, I'm going to tell you one more time, get out. And he says, okay, well, guess what? Your building's going to get knocked down. 150 floors are going to come right in its place. So fuck you and fuck rock and roll. And Max goes to charge at him when suddenly he begins to suffer what he says is a heart attack. And that's when Colin's like, oh, we better lay off the fried food, and leaves. And that's when he's like, hey, tell him he's got till midnight to sign the deal. Otherwise, deal's off. So Sammy goes to his side, and that's when he's like, hey, I'll make it better and everything. And he's like, wait a minute. I don't have to do anything. I inherit, because if he dies, he inherits the concert hall. So he goes after Colin, and he's like, hey, I inherit. And that's when him and his men embrace Colin.
It's so romantic.
It's so romantic.
It's so kinetic. Everything just kind of happens really fast all at once.
So that's when we see a doctor played by the great Paul Bartel. He begins to explain he doesn't know if it was a heart attack or not, but the way that, Max eats, that, it's no telling what could have happened to him, and that he needs to stay peaceful and restful, and that he's not going to get any rest here at the venue tonight, so they're probably going to be taking him out. The staff tries to raid the doctor's bag while this is happening, and they even get a handful of pills that turn out to be ibuprofen and a bunch of other stuff.
I like to party too.
So that's when they decide that they need something a little more to get them going, and suddenly a figure in black appears that we call Electric Larry.
Electric Larry threw me the most of anything in this movie. They were just, whenever he popped up, I was like, what?
Yeah. Electric Larry is a robotic figure in a cowboy hat with red glowing eyes and completely black all over with fabric and whatnot, and he has a briefcase just full of pills. for the first go-round, because this is not just the only time we'll meet Electric Larry.
No, of course not.
So Electric Larry reveals his suitcase of pills. That's when we see a speedy montage of the crew setting up the show. By the end of it, the stage is set. Back in the air, Colin and Sammy are flying over the city as Colin tells him to get his uncle to sign the papers by midnight. And he's like, well, how am I going to do that? He's like, you're a bright boy. You'll figure it out. And then pushes him out of the helicopter with a parachute and the contract.
He hands him a parachute and then bye.
Yeah, bye. Meanwhile, Neil and Willie chat about Colin was the reason that her business failed and why she left town originally. And Neil is kind of starting to try to persuade her to stay because he thinks that she could be helpful around, especially with her experience, and also has a crush on her, obviously.
Well, yeah.
So that's when we see a tie-dye a tour bus arrive out front as multiple hippies and free spirits get off the bus, and we meet the leader, Captain Cloud.
They're about as stereotypical hippies as you can get. They have like anti-Nixon flags,
huge
and
pop
stuff.
banners.
Yeah.
And he wants to play the show, and that's when he's like, where's Max? And he's like, well, Max had a bad experience, but Max is brought out being carried on a bed up to Captain Cloud on stage. He embraces him and says, do you have a hug for a dying man? And Captain's like, dying, that's just another journey, man. And they have like a little powwow. And that's when basically Neil tells him that the captain wants to play the show. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's fine. We'll have them play at the very end. Auld Lang Syne's all yours.
Oh, and then he says, wow, the ending, that's just another beginning, man.
And we also find out that he thinks it's 1969 because one of their tickets is dated for 1969 New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And he says, time's a trip, man. So Max says they'll put them in the finale. We also start to see that more of the groups arrive as a red car speeds up into the loading zone. And that's when we meet Nada, the all-girl group with multiple members.
A whole lot of members.
About four, at least 10, I think.
It's somewhere in that. It's like Arcade Fire.
Yeah, that's actually funny you said that because that's what they say in the bonus feature. That's what it reminds them of.
Solid.
So Neil introduces Nada to Joey. Joey, who is played by, God, what is his name? He is the actor who plays Chris, the convenience store owner in Kenan and Kel, was the one I pointed out to you.
Yeah.
And Joey is Dan Frischman.
Oh.
So Joey is Joey is introduced then to Nada, and we also meet the other backup in Nada, which is Piggy, who is played by the great Lee Ving. So Neil goes to ask Nada where Piggy is. She throws him the keys to the trunk. He goes out to the trunk, and they let Lee Ving out of the trunk as he bursts out.
Yeah, and starts slamming his head into the
brick wall, the trash can,
the car.
And my favorite is Neil's like, "Hey, Piggy, you got a contract for you to sign." And that's when he walks over and puts the contract on the trunk and signs it by putting his head into the trunk.
Well, first he says, I want 95% of the gross, no expenses, no taxes.
Yeah, no taxes.
He's like, no, this is a standard contract. Again, then he bashes his head on it.
Into it. So that is when Neil notices Willie on the phone. He slips into another fantasy as she comments that she can't do something tonight because she's just too tied up. And that's when we see her tied to a stake. As she is trying to light a cigarette, and back in the real life, he goes to light her a match, and it's a whole fantasy of her being tied to a stake like Joan of Arc. And that's when we meet Robert Picardo, who plays the fire marshal.
I love me some Robert Picardo.
As he walks in and puts the flames out on the stake.
Oh, of course. And then he explains how they don't have good enough fire extinguishers there.
They do not. So he tells them that there is going to be no open flames, no fireworks, no sparklers or anything. He has no problem shutting them down.
As he walks by the hippies who have started a bonfire.
Which he puts out immediately.
Yeah.
So that's when we cut to a funeral where we meet the King of Blues, who is named King Blues in this movie, and he is having a send-off for his buddy Blind Luther Washington at a funeral full of blind black men.
Yeah, they're all basically blind. No,
Yep.
So this movie is so much is constantly happening. It is a lot to take in.
Yes,
it really is. It really, really is.
There's a lot of gags that you probably may not catch the first time. It'd probably take you a couple of watches to even catch all of them.
I wouldn't call it subtle.
No, it's not subtle. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
So the King of Blues tells Luther Jr. that they need to go because they got to get through the show to the Saturn. He even also tells God that he better take care of his man or he's going to wax his ass, which is one of my favorite lines.
I'll wax your ass.
So that's when Luther Jr. joins him at the car, and that's when he tells him that he doesn't want to be called Luther Jr. He always hated that name. He wants to go by Cool. And that's when King Blues says, all right, cool. Well, just like your daddy, if you're going to be anything like your daddy, we're going to get to the show on time and you're going to play beautifully. So then Cool speeds off out of the cemetery, knocking over multiple tombstones and driving as crazy as possible because they're going to get there on time.
Of course.
So that's when back at the Saturn, Neil talks to his sister, Susie, who wants to come down to the show. Max thinks it's a way to drum up the crowd more, or excuse me, she wants to come down to the show. And yeah, that's when Neil's like, no, stay home. Like, I don't know what's going on tonight. He goes to see Max, and Max thinks of a way to drum up more of the crowd by promising the return of Auden, the metaphysical folk singer played by Lou Reed in this film.
The metaphysical I like the metaphysical folk singer.
That is literally what his description says on Wikipedia. It says, metaphysical folk singer, inventor of the 70s, antisocial recluse, a spoof of Bob Dylan.
Inventor of the 70s.
Yep.
This is spooky Bob Dylan?
A spoof of Bob Dylan.
I when I first saw him, I thought he was a spoof of Lou Reed.
Yeah.
But he actually was Lou Reed.
Yeah. So Max calls over to Auden because Neil is convinced that nobody's seen him in 6 years. He's not going to come out, and that's why he's just like, maybe he will for a dying man's request. So he calls Auden, who is in a house that is covered in spider webs. There's a woman on the couch in a red dress, which apparently is supposed to be a spoof of a Bob Dylan cover that I'm not familiar with.
That checks out.
Yeah, but after some persuading, Auden does agree to go to the show and walks out into traffic as he's playing his guitar because he's had writer's block for this amount of time, and he says he doesn't know if he can perform, but he is convinced by Max to go ahead and do it. So yeah, he walks out of traffic playing a guitar, is avoided by several cars, waves down a taxi, and tells him to take the scenic route as they go to the Saturn.
And boy, is it a scenic route.
It is a scenic route indeed.
I would say that the number one thought I had watching this film was, oh, right, that. Because when it would sometimes it wouldn't return to a plot point for a long time.
Yeah.
So, when he pops up at the end, I was like, oh, right, him.
Yeah. So Auden says that he will play the show, and that's when they go off on the cab. Meanwhile, Susie gets a call from her friend Debbie telling her that Auden is going to play the Saturn tonight, which I don't know how that news got out so quickly. And that's when Susie decides that she can't miss this as an event. She might even get a chance to meet Reggie Wanker as well, because he's playing the show tonight.
Reggie Wanker.
And that is when we cut to a plane where we meet Reggie Wanker, played by the great Malcolm McDowell, who is exercising on his plane right before he goes and lays down next to a woman on a cot and also asks for a little bit of toot.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
As he pulls out a silver bucket
coffee cup full of it, yeah. So that's when one of his band members, his drummer, Toad, decides that he is ripped and also breaks one of the arcade machines, does another line, and he goes out and decides he's going to fly the plane. So he takes over the plane, and they're just flying through the sky, whipping over backwards and doing corkscrews. And meanwhile, this is happening. The cocaine's flying around the plane, getting them completely high as they're also rolling with the plane as well.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Sideways is cocaine and furniture goes all over the place. Everyone's having a great time. Meanwhile, Susie is dressed elegantly and dupes her parents, played by one of them I know is my God, I'm blanking on his name. Dick Miller.
Yes, yeah.
And it was the woman his wife from Gremlins?
Might have been.
I thought it was, yeah. But
he's just standing there holding a hose, just spraying water, not looking at all where he's spraying the water.
So she comes out all elegantly dressed, and she's like, I'm going to go to Debbie's for a party, and they wish her well. Meanwhile, we just follow a trail of clothes completely changed as she goes into a sexy outfit, getting ready to go to the Saturn.
Would you call that a sexy outfit?
It's what is it?
Spandex.
It's spandex, yeah.
Yeah, it's 80s as shit.
Yeah, it's her sexy outfit.
Yeah. And that's the actress who played the love interest in Halloween 3.
Yes, that is correct. It's Ellie is her name in the movie, right? And
I think so, yeah.
Her name is Stacey Nelkin.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, Stacey Nelkin. So that is when she starts her walk off to the club back at the Saturn. The vans start to arrive, and that is the first being Reggie, who is greeted by a large entourage. Behind them, Cool and King Blues arrive as well in a smashed-up car completely from the drive over.
Torn to pieces.
And that is when Joey is trying to take care of Reggie, offering him lobster and other foods in his room. He even offers him the whole lobster, which I love.
The whole thing.
And that's when Colin, meanwhile, has a meeting with multiple investors, showing them the plans to demolish the Saturn via a model which he legitimately blows up in front of them.
Yeah, boom.
And then shows them the new building for Serpent Records, which is over 50 stories tall. I don't even know how many floors are in that damn thing. Back at the Saturn, Max hands over the reins to Neil as he gets the staff excited, reminding them it's New Year's Eve and it's showtime. So the doors to the Saturn are open. We watch many people begin to enter the auditorium and also go through searches. And the searches are hilarious because they're done by Clint Howard, for one.
Yeah.
No guns, even though bazookas, missiles, and everything are being pulled out of people's pants.
Yes.
No drugs, even though there's a giant joint.
Literally an anthropomorphic marijuana joint.
Yes, and also multiple giant joints just people are carrying as well.
Yes.
So they're getting everybody through the doors. We see that people are getting excited for the show. And that's when Susie also arrives and she finds Neil. Neil tells her to stay put, but Willie confesses that she's lucky to have a brother like Neil and that she likes him a lot.
Oh.
So that's when Cool confronts the King of Blues, telling him that they're fucked because he explains that they booked a blues band.
And they got a Jews band. Kids. And then we see a bunch of very stereotypical Jewish men and one Jewish woman who doesn't sing when they're all singing.
No, because she goes to kiss the lead singer guy, and that's when her braces get entangled, and that's when they get ripped out of her mouth because they're trying to separate them before they go on stage.
Yes.
So that's when Neil tells them to don't worry, they're a good band. The band starts up. King Blues says that they can do this and steps on the stage singing The Blues Had a Baby, and they called it rock and roll, which is originally a Muddy Waters song.
Yeah, it's a good song too.
Meanwhile, Neil notices that Susie is missing as we find her in the crowd enjoying the show. We also see the rest of the musicians getting into the tunes as well, and Piggy, who is swinging around on ropes and smashing cans, while Neil and Willie share a dance. In the office, Sammy tries to swindle Max into signing the document by telling him something along the lines of like a, what does he say it is? Like an article piece or something. I can't remember. Like he says it something along those lines. Sure. But that is when the doctor returns, played by Paul Bartel, telling him it was just bad Chinese. A very bad line is said at that point.
Yeah, a little bit of racism goes a long way.
And he's gonna be fine. Hearing this, Captain Cloud and his followers rejoice. Sammy panics, calling Colin, telling him the news about Max. And that's when Colin tells him the deal's still on till midnight. But that's when he gives Mark and Marv secret assignment to go ahead and destroy the Saturn Theater.
This is the closest thing to a story you're getting in this.
That's the best. Yeah, it's that. So that's when Max tells him that they can. That's when Joey is confronted by some bikers who want to come in, but he tells him the venue is full. Meanwhile, Sammy is coming down the stairs, and Joey asks him, what should he do? And he's like, well, do they have tickets? And he's like, no. He's like, all right, well, fuck them then. So that's when Joey, in his hindsight, in a big group of bikers are at this door, opens the door and goes, fuck you.
And then just closes it. And immediately a biker's arm bursts through the door and starts choking him like fucking Jason Voorhees.
So he grabs all this furniture and tries to barricade the doors. That's when downstairs, Sammy goes down to grab more champagne. As he picks it up, though, he drops it because he realizes there's a fire in the corner of the basement. So he begins to start putting it out, but then he decides, no, I'll burn the theater down. So he begins fueling it by dumping a trash can over it.
Ah.
So King Blues goes into a Hoochie Coochie Man, and Sammy unbarricades the door, getting run over by bikers. Meanwhile, in Reggie's dressing room, he can't decide on an outfit and also comments how he's not a fan of New Year's Eve. King Blue finishes while Neil goes back out to introduce Nada with special guest Piggy. We see Piggy, who is on a chain leash by this point. Yes. He's chained to a fence behind the stage.
Of course.
And that's when she tells him to save his voice and calm down. Nada then takes the stage playing I'm Not Gonna Take It No More and puts on a hell of a performance for everybody because Nada has a bunch of fans, one of which that stands on the top of the balcony with a flamethrower right before they take the stage.
Yeah, well, it's funny because other people are holding up lighters.
Yeah.
And then he's just got a full-size military-grade flamethrower.
That is correct, yes. So, meanwhile, Willie and Neil find the fire in the basement. They also find that the hose has been cut, so they have to reroute the water from the bathroom. Neil notifies Joey of the issue as he goes down to the bathroom, which is another sight gag because he opens the door. The bathroom's completely flooded. There's a shark fin swimming around, a corpse on the ground with a giant syringe pierced through it. And also bong rips for $1 in the bathroom stalls.
Yeah. Well, it says hookah, but then it's a bong.
Yeah. So that's when Neil goes over to the water. He turns it back on. They get the fire out in the basement. So that crisis is averted. 2 minutes of it being an actual issue.
Jeez. Yeah.
So that is when we also see that Colin is playing with a mouse in a $sign maze that he calls Max Jr. He guides the Max to an X and then drops it down as we see the maze is right above a giant alligator tank with Colin Jr. as the alligator ready to eat Max.
What a movie. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, the movie damn near gave me a headache.
Yeah, I can see that. So Nada concludes, and that's when they introduce Piggy, who draws Kings of Blues' attention because he notices they're doing a cover of his song. So Neil releases Piggy, who dives into the crowd and gets back on stage doing a punk cover of I'm a Hoochie Coochie Man.
What a film. My
With the
gosh.
crowd getting into it, even the doctor and Susie both find themselves leaping off of the balcony because at one point, that's when Piggy goes into the crowd. He crowd surfs for a little bit and then tells everybody who's in the balcony to start leaping off as they catch them.
And we get this bizarrely long
Montage.
sequence. Yeah, montage is a better way to put it. Of people jumping off, flipping off, zooming off in ways that would kill the people below them.
Not to mention they
land.
also have people scoring them on the side.
Yeah, but which was fine. The only part I didn't like was that a guy had just done a forward backflip.
Yeah.
And they give it like a 7, and then one woman just fell.
Yeah.
And they were like 10, 10, 9, you know.
So King Blues toasts Piggy and says, "Who says a white boy can't sing the blues?" As the band concludes, Nada and Piggy and the group go backstage. They're complaining about the drink choices. They find beer. They don't want beer. Piggy finds champagne. She's like, "Champagne again." So then Electric Larry appears one more time, offering multiple lines of Coke in a briefcase.
Multiple being the operative word.
Yeah. So next to take the stage is Reggie Wanker. Neil warns him about no fireworks and tells him about the fire marshal. And that's when, he says, "All right, now you stay here. I'll go do your introduction." And that's when Reggie tells him no one introduces Reggie Wanker.
Damn right.
So that's when he takes the stage as the crowd is chanting his name, and Reggie kicks into his song Hot Shot, which is a giant egotistical ballad about how awesome he is.
Well, luckily, it's the only time he's egotistical.
Yeah, So Neil is asked to help Reggie's girlfriend get an eyelash free from her cleavage because it just fell off her eye, and that's when Willie catches him doing this. She walks out upset as Mark and Marv enter, handing Sammy a bomb that is set to go off at midnight. Leaving him, telling him to find a nice place to hide it, Susie finds her way out onto the stage via encouragement by Reggie as Neil watches her dance on the side with him. That's when Reggie is, starting to get into it with her, and that's when Neil decides to cut in, removing her from the stage. Sammy decides to hide the bomb in Max's rocket ship for the finale, and the fire marshal is chased off stage when trying to put out Reggie's pyrotechnics.
Of course. Yeah, it's all coming together, kids.
He and Sammy run directly into each other, knocking them both out as Electric Larry appears once more.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
And drugs the water cooler before wishing everybody a happy new year and disappears. So that's when Neil finds the fire marshal and Sammy knocked out. He gives them both water from the water cooler. Instantly, both begin to experience the effects, and the fire marshal loses his clothes and starts searching for flames. Meanwhile, Sammy finds a new status of life and joins Captain Cloud's army.
Aww.
Stating he doesn't want material possessions anymore.
Well, or soap.
So Willie, outside smoking a cigarette, catches an earshot of Mark and Marv talking about the bomb that they planted, realizing that she's heard them. They chase after her, and she fights them off, only for Colin to come up behind her with a gun, and that's when Willie is thrown into the trunk of Colin's limo.
So much happens so fast.
Captain Cloud gives Kool and King Blues a joint that is made of 3 different strains as King starts to hear Reggie do a cover of I'm a Hoochie Coochie Man as well. King steps off of the balcony they're on and onto the thin air as he just floats down. And enjoys his joint. Reggie takes a break from the stage as his drummer, Toad, goes into a long solo. Back in his dressing room, Reggie is carried off by multiple women for an orgy, but is caught by his girlfriend, who storms out angrily. Running into Joey, she takes him to the back room, and they begin to have sex.
Yeah, she finds a perfect revenge by saying, "You're kind of good looking."
Auden, still in his cab, tells his driver that they're going to be late for the show and they need to step it up. So that's when his cab driver just starts speeding all over, ramping over multiple things.
Jumping things.
Jumping cars, and actually runs up into Colin's limousine, which pops the trunk that Willie is in, and she gets out. And that's when they start to go after her, but Colin opens the door to his limousine, and a cop car comes by and takes it off.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
And that's when they also go, "Evening, officers."
Yeah. And I don't want to, I pick on this movie. There is a charm to it.
Yeah.
But if I had to be completely honest, I wish I hadn't sat down and watched it. I wish I had watched it with like a group of people or something. Because I sat down like very intently trying to, especially the second half, I really focused. And my God, what a film.
It's a party movie. So as we get to the conclusion, Colin and his goons try to go after her. The cop knock his door off. Reggie frees himself from his sex mountain and finds his girlfriend next door with Joey and immediately has heartbreak.
Well, he's like, "They don't love me for me." And then he sees that. He's like, "You go away for 2 minutes and this happens to you." So then he sings this like emotional song about like how broken
It's Hot
is.
Shot. He just drops it down and changes a couple lyrics.
Yeah.
Like
and the women are just losing it for him.
Yeah.
They're just losing it.
I would also like to go back to his performance because while he is doing the Hot Shot originally the first time, there's this woman that's like, "I love you, Reggie," and is like sending him like a pet turtle through the crowd.
Yeah.
A refrigerator at one point
Yeah.
surfs over the crowd. So the crowd is won over by his new version of Hot Shot. They're also in tears with him and start chanting Reggie again. He leaves the stage as Neil congratulates him and asks him for an encore, and Reggie says he can't, but he does ask him for a cup of water, which Neil gets him from the water cooler.
Uh-oh.
Neil gets him some water that is drugged, and that's when he tells Joey that, the crowd's going to go crazy if they don't have somebody on, so go ahead and just put on a cartoon to kill some time. Which they do.
Such a weird choice.
Very weird choice. So that is when Reggie started to feel the effects, tells his band member Toad that he's going to go to the bathroom, and that's when he's confronted by a voice in the bathroom that turns out to be his penis.
Yes, and his penis is very insightful.
Penis is very insightful. He tells him that he became a star and actually forgot about himself. The music tonight was his raw emotion, and that's what made him great, and that he needs to keep himself in mind for his future performances.
Wise cock.
Wise cock indeed. Willie arrives at the theater telling Neil about the bomb. Willie goes to look for Sammy, but Neil takes the stage trying to tell the crowd about the bomb, but they just boo him because they think it's part of the show. Neil locates Sammy just as Willie finds him as well, but Sammy is way too far gone to make any sense. So that's when they have Captain Cloud translate for him, and that's when Captain Cloud finds out that he has put the bomb in the rocket that Max is going to ride.
And I mean, obviously.
So we see Max getting on the rocket as New Year's is approaching, midnight's approaching, and the crew prepares him for the launch of the stage. Neil gets on Max's headset, tells him about the bomb. Max finds the bomb quickly and tries to drop it to Neil, except it goes into the crowd as the crowd begins to play hot potato with a bomb.
Of course.
So they are throwing the bomb out. It gets to right around 2 seconds. The bomb is tossed out the front door right as Colin and his goons arrive, and it goes right into their limo as we hear, "Oh shit." The bomb goes off, sending the three up into the air through the roof of the Saturn as Captain Cloud takes the stage for his rendition of Auld Lang Syne. With the rest of the bands, we see that Reggie's girlfriend and Joey are still in the throes of passion and probably going to get married now.
Aww.
We see everyone wish each other a happy new year, including Reggie, who introduces his drummer to their new manager, his penis.
Yes. And which then points out that apparently we can all hear his penis talking, not just him anymore.
Not just him, nope. Meanwhile, Auden arrives at the theater and, he's like, "Oh, I missed the show." And that's when Max also hands over the lease to the Saturn to Neil and tells him that, that it's yours now, pass it on to somebody when you're done. So he tells Auden that he can play there anytime now. Neil then offers a partnership to Willie as they switch him back into another Tarzan fantasy in the forest. As they walk off, the credits are played as we see the bands leave, and Auden plays Dear Little Sister by Lou Reed.
Right.
Which is Lou Reed.
Well, yeah.
And that
is the
1983's Get Crazy.
Something like that. It's just so much.
It's a lot.
I have ADHD, and I was like,
Would you like to know some things about the movie?
It sure would.
What do you think the budget was?
Oh, God. I mean, my instinct is it's low, but my heart says it's going to be obscenely high.
$5 million.
What?
And $500,000.
Drug cartel money. Like, how? Who would pay that much money to make a movie like that?
It gets released August 5th of 1983. And grosses in U.S. and Canada, $1,645,000.
It should have cost $500,000. It would have been a hit.
Yeah. 40-day shoot.
Oh, my God.
Done at the Wiltern in Los Angeles, California. The movie was inspired by the actual real-life experiences of director Alan Arkush and screenwriter Danny Opachu during the late 1960s and early 1970s, working for a live music video in New York City called Filmore East. The original screenplay was set for New Year's Eve in 1969, but the studio wanted it modernized.
Thank goodness.
The concert scenes were shot at the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles. It had fallen into disrepair and was due for a renovation after filming was completed. This essentially meant that the production team could trash the theater knowing it was going to be refurbished after they had gone. Arkush gives credit to his AD, Clifford C. Coleman, who'd been recommended to him by Landis after working on Animal House. Coleman would use a starter pistols for his directing, 1 fire for action and 2 for cut.
Well, with that big of a crowd, I mean, how else are they going to hear you?
Yeah. The punk extras lived in the theater location throughout the shooting of the movie.
I'm not surprised at all.
While they weren't on schedule for the day, many of the stars and extras would go on to set as it was a giant party every day. Notoriously, when the shoots would end, there would be a 2 to 3 hour party in the parking lot. The costume trailer was the spot where the post-production plans were made at the end of the day.
Jesus.
Alan Garfield and Daniel Stern notoriously didn't get along during production. It wouldn't be until 5 years later, when Stern and his wife were walking down Ventura Boulevard, that Garfield would pull aside them, get out of his car, and apologize to Stern in person for the way that he was treated on that production. Stern went on to recall that Garfield stood with him for about 5 minutes apologizing and complimenting Stern.
Wow.
Yeah. Howard Kalin, who plays Clapton Cloud in the film, was an actual performer at the Filmore East with the Turtles and the Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa's band. Kalin didn't choose to be a character as much as playing on the myth of the Grateful Dead and Hollywood illusion of dead fans. Lee Ving got a sense of respect for Arkush's simply for the fact that Arkush encouraged trying new things and improvising. He also felt that Arkush and McDowell understood the music and the spirit ignited, which is why he, Arkush, and McDowell are still good friends today.
Wow, okay.
Electric Larry was wanted to be an homage to his look of death in Death Takes a Holiday, a Mitchell Lyson movie from the 1930s.
I could see that.
The dosing of the water cooler in the film is based off a true experience Arkush had at the Filmore East for a Grateful Dead and Allman Brothers show.
That checks out.
Rod Stewart, Mick Jagger, Elton John were all approached for the role of Reggie Wanker. Hunt Lowry, producer, went after Malcolm McDowell personally. Malcolm, who had just rented a house in Malibu, didn't want to do the picture, so he advised his agent to ask for too much money as a polite way to turn down the offer, and threw the script away. When his agent called back to him to let him know that his asking amount has been agreed to, McDowell agreed to meet with Arkush and Lowry for lunch to discuss the film. His only stipulation was that he wanted to sing original songs. They agreed only to find out in the studio that Malcolm was in fact not the best singer. Arkush instructed Malcolm to go back into the studio and act as a singer, in which they adjusted the songs to his performance.
Jeez.
Yeah. McDowell, having not read the entire script, was in makeup with one actor next to him who praised McDowell and stated what an honor it was to be in the production with him. The actor went on to ask McDowell how he intended to pull off the ending. McDowell, unsure of what the actor was referring to, played it off and stated he's just going to do it. When the actor left, McDowell requested a script from the makeup person, only to find out about the scene near the end where Reggie takes advice from his cock.
Cinema.
Brian Johnson, lead singer of AC/DC, gave Malcolm McDowell praise for the film, noting that they watched it on the bus many times.
I bet they did.
Lou Reed was taken out at a Russian tea room by Arkush, who complimented him on his album Blue Mask. By the end of the lunch, he agreed to take the role. Lou was noted as being quiet and off to the side most of the shoot, but told Arkush he had a great time. Some years later, in a rock magazine, he would go on to give an interview stating how miserable the film experience was and how he felt ripped off by the production. Several years later, Arkush ran into Lou with his wife at a sushi restaurant, where he apologized for his comments in the article, adding that everyone loves him in the movie and found him to be very funny and likable. Reed went on to give Arkush his home phone number, telling him that if there's anything he can do to make up for him, to call him, whether it's music licensing, etc. Arkush went on to license multiple songs from Lou Reed during his stint on Crossing Jordan, even Walk on the Wild Side, which Reed is not known to license much anymore.
Wow, okay.
Original title was Hell's a Rockin', a tribute to Hell's a Poppin'.
That is such a gimmicky, like, you grew up in the 40s title.
Scenes where the fans and singer leap from the balcony was inspired by a performance that Arkush attended with his cast and crew of Iggy Pop at Palladia.
I can see that.
A deal reminiscent of the one brokered in Mel Brooks' The Producers, shares were sold in the film to a Wall Street tax shelter group, effectively meaning that it didn't need to be released and was designed to lose money so that others would make money. Director Alan Arkush learned that during filming and was thoroughly demoralized by it, knowing he was making a film that no one would see.
I mean, you have a movie that you have, like, you get to do all these insane things with, and they're going to give you $5 million. I mean, there's, you know, it's like the devil is going to ask for something.
Yeah. Get Crazy was sold off as a tax shelter. No ads, no critic screenings, no soundtrack LP promotion, and producers went bankrupt and were actually indicted. The original negative and soundtrack were all thought to be lost. Arkush checked all the film vaults he could find and could find nothing, leading to no DVD release. Arkush wanted to release the film. Vaults were checked and the picture nor the sound could be located. Kino Lorber found all the elements around 2018 and wanted to do a release.
I mean, that's an incredible story that they were able to find him.
Yeah. Lauren Bell, who plays Nada in the Nada band while practicing a jump, sprained her ankle so bad that Fear frontman Lee Ving, who plays Piggy in the film, spent 3 days carrying her on his shoulders during shooting.
Jeez.
Barry Diamond was very busy in this movie. In addition to playing a stagehand, he also played the blind person at the funeral that fell into the grave, yelling, "Wait, I'm not dead," the stoner in Captain Cloud's band who shouted, "I've got the bong," the guy with the face painted black and white who was screaming, "Nada, nada, 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 nada," and he introduced Neil's little sister, Susie, to his children in the balcony.
Jeez. Okay.
20 or so minutes into the film, Max calls Auden on the phone. Auden is at home, and the scene is obviously patterned after the cover of Bob Dylan's Bring It All Home album, ornate white fireplace, smoking woman in a tight red dress, etc.
I mean, that's a hell of a attention to detail.
So what are your final thoughts on 1983's Get Crazy?
I definitely think it's the kind of thing you like if you like that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I think if you have a lot of nostalgia for the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, if you have a lot of nostalgia for like those really crazy punk clubs, which I don't have much of those things at all, I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time capsule. That part I liked about it. I'm not going to lie, watching it and trying to understand it so I could talk about it on camera made it a lot less fun.
I get that.
So I mean, I would give it a stream it because like I think if you like that kind of thing, you'll want to watch it. I don't know if it's a necessity for your collection, but there you have it.
It's a rent it for me with a buy it caveat for physical media in the sense of, like I said, this
You
movie
can't
was
rent
lost.
it or stream it technically.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. But more so, it's just that the fact that like I literally saw this movie from a VHS to DVD, like not an official release. Like somebody got a VHS, burned it to a DVD for me, and that's how I saw this for the longest time.
Sure.
So I never thought this would get released, to be honest.
I get that for sure.
So, and also like the Blu-ray is packed with a bunch of, you got a commentary on there, you got a behind the scenes, like an hour long with everybody, because right around the time this release was happening, COVID happened.
Right.
So everybody that they got to come back and talk about it was through Zoom. So they got a bunch of people.
Right.
A bunch of people to come back and talk. So it's definitely a rent it for me, because as you said, it's not a movie for everybody, and it's going to be a strict crowd. But if you do find yourself liking it, I cannot recommend the Blu-ray enough. It is very, very easy to get your hands on. I think it's like maybe $20 now, if that.
Maybe. Yeah.
And Kino Lorber put some real work into this disc, so you will definitely have a good time with it if you're a fan of the film.
Yeah.
So we always like to end the show with a couple of recommendations. I have two this week. The first one being 1979's Rock and Roll High School, currently available on Tubi, Peacock, Prime, and Plex. Ramones fanatic and delinquent Riff Randall battles it out with the strict new principal of Vince Lombardi High School, Miss Togar, with the help from the Ramones.
I mean, it's an absolute classic.
Yeah. And second, I'm going to go ahead and say Empire Records from 1995, currently available on Plex and Prime. 24 hours in the lives of young employees at Empire Records when they when they all grow up and become young adults. Thanks to each other and the manager, they all face the store, joining a chain store with strict rules.
It's a classic as well.
It's a great one. Yeah. What's your recommendation?
Cockfighter.
Cockfighter, hey.
No, not really. Actually, Phantom of the Paradise.
Good pick.
From 1974, which I think kind of, for me, captures a lot of this.
Yeah.
But in a really great way.
Story way, yeah.
But it's a Brian De Palma movie, so it's like, you don't want to like compare.
No.
You know, because who can compare to Brian De Palma?
Well,
but,
and also, there's a lot of similarities to it, too.
A ton.
Yeah.
Well, it's Faust is a story about performance, and this is a movie about performers being outrageous.
Well, even just the bomb. I was just thinking about the bomb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Phantom of the Paradise is also out of its mind. It's just a little bit, it's subdued enough to kind of keep the story going.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing on IMDb says a disfigured composer sells his soul for the woman he loves so that she will perform his music. However, an evil record tycoon betrays him and steals his music to open his rock palace, the Paradise. And it's not streaming with membership. Oh, it might be on Prime.
It's all Prime, it looks like.
But it's definitely available to rent on Amazon. No, you have to get a trial for Prime. So start your but anyway. Oh, wait, no, it's because I'm not logged in.
Oh.
Yeah, it's free on Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you have a membership, you can watch it on Prime.
Perfect.
Phantom of the Paradise, if you haven't seen it, I mean, that's a must-watch film anyway.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think.
Do we have any emails this week?
Sure don't.
We do not. Well, would you like to know what we are talking about next week as we move into January?
Sure don't again.
Well, too bad, because we are doing a theme month of cold-blooded January.
Yeah.
And we are kicking it off with Wind River from 2017.
And I see what you did there, because January is known for blood.
Yes. Lots of it.
Yeah.
Copious amounts.
So, no, I'm looking forward to talking about Wind River. That's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
And it's currently streaming where?
Favesome, Plex, and Pluto.
Fawsome.
Fawsome?
That's what the channel's called.
You're Fawsome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Fawsome.
Awesome. Fawsome, Plex, and Pluto.
Nice. Okay. Well,
and I don't think I think it was like 3 years ago I revisited. That movie gets better and better with each watch.
I revisited, I think last winter.
It is so
and
good movie.
it's super, super good. So definitely give that a watch and catch us next time, and we'll talk all about Wind River.
Yes.
So if you want to email us, send us an email at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com or go to doyouevenmovie.com to find out everything about the show. If you're listening to us on a podcast, make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, maybe leave a comment if you have something to say about Get Crazy in particular. We'd love to hear it, and of course, we'd love to get your emails. But now we're going to get out of here and go see Nosferatu.
Yes, and we also hope you all have a great New Year's as you listen to this.
Now we're back to being all about. Okay. No,
I said get through the holidays.
I'm
That's the
stuck with
last
this
holiday I gotta
Grinch
get
over
through.
here.
Yeah, it's the last holiday I got
Mr.
through.
Grinch over here.
I'm Mr. Grinch.
Well, then why is everything from your waist down painted green right now?
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out next week.
All right. Well, until next time, guys, you take care. I am getting out of here and leaving Dave behind like a child in
That's
a
fair.
car with the window rolled up
We'll see ya.
next Tuesday.